Hey guys, welcome back. So some of you guys may have recently graduated, but the majority of you may be more so approaching graduation in the upcoming months. And I know it's starting to kind of weigh on some of you guys' mind, how soon after graduating are you going to be able to get a job? How soon are you going to be able to especially work something in your industry? Because I know a lot of people will graduate in certain fields and will find it difficult, at least from the start, to find something specific to their industry. But so approaching graduation is the thing that's commonly amongst most college students. And as I said before, if you've already graduated and you still haven't gotten that job, it's still weighing on your mind. You're still pursuing it. So I've looked back on the jobs that I've had. I've worked 2 summer jobs when I was in college, and from the moment I graduated. It was about 3 months before I got my first full-time job, and since then I've been on 3 jobs. My recent one has been the one that I've been on for the longest, over a year, and that was decisions that I've made that have were thinking more so towards progressing my career. So that's the reason why I have been on 3 jobs since I've graduated. I graduated back in December 2014, which is not that long ago, but time is moving. But I look back on all of my experiences, and I want to come up with a list of things that can help you guys who are pretty fresh to the job market. Like I said, you may have worked a little bit during college, you may not have. So this is more so targeted towards you guys. So there are a couple things to keep in mind. Once you've gotten past that point where you're searching for the job and you've gotten that first interview, you've gotten that first offer, and you've accepted it, then there are some things that you really want to keep in mind. There's some important things that I've learned throughout my experiences that I think are very valuable, and that's what I want to share with you guys. So number one, when you first start your job, it's very important to have energy. And it doesn't apply so much in the fact of being that guy that's always hopping around the office and delivering everyone's coffee. I mean, it doesn't necessarily apply to that. What I'm saying here is you don't want to be that person that's more so dragging, or you don't want to be that person that's walking slow, or that person that responds slowly, or the person that sort of talks in such a dreary voice as if you just woke up. That's definitely not what you want to be. Through my experiences, I've noticed that people do observe you. Everyone is observing you. Your manager or your supervisors, they may be asking fellow coworkers, how's this guy doing? How's he doing? How's he performing on the job? And I know this because I've had people tell me this before, and even throughout my previous jobs, I've been able to develop a nice relationship with my supervisors and managers. Just throughout the experiences with them. And as I said, they keep up with this sort of stuff. They really want to see how you're doing. They really want to see what sort of energy you're putting in what you're doing, and they really want to see you, not necessarily so, like I said, preppy and excited about what you're doing, but at the same time, they want to see some energy in what you're doing. It shows that you're into what you're doing. It shows that you're committed to doing the job. It shows that you're committed to doing whatever it takes. So just keep in mind, have some energy, walk with energy, talk with energy, and be awake. One of the most important things, especially early in the mornings. I know how difficult that can be. So just keep those things in mind, and they'll benefit you a lot. Number 2 is complaints. This is one that it really boils down to your attitude and your behavior towards it, and it boils down to perhaps your wording. If you find an issue on your job or something you're not necessarily pleased about, rather than complaining, rather than venting all of that frustration out to your coworkers, and I will say that that's venting is important, but you have to keep in mind that they're in contact with your manager also. As I said before, your manager may be asking them how you're doing or how you're performing on the job, and sometimes they may tell them things that you have told them that you didn't expect them to tell them. So beyond that, just really avoid complaints. If there's something that you're not satisfied with, there's a way to approach that. And also, it's good to find a resolution. It's good to think of ways that can be beneficial. So if you take something to your manager, that you're not necessarily pleased about. Perhaps your workload, perhaps you're getting a lot of things put on you, and you feel that it's unfair, that maybe especially for you newer guys, it's gonna feel on a lot of jobs, it's gonna feel that, especially the newer guys, that you're gonna get those tasks that nobody else want to do, and you may be getting tasks dumped on you, and you may feel that, and in plenty of cases, sometimes they put those things on you to sort of for you to prove yourself. And not only that, sometimes they just put them on you because they don't necessarily think they have time to do them. And sometimes it's like, I'll push this off on the newer guy. And if you have several people saying, I'll push this off on the newer guy, then you can quickly find yourself in a situation where you're, very overloaded and probably have tasks on your plate that you have no idea on how to perform. So, rather than complain, perhaps think about approaching it in a different way. How can this situation get better? How can this be improved? Perhaps if you're going to talk to your manager about this, rather than being heard complaining in your office or whatever, rather than doing that, take it to them and talk in a way such as, this is how the situation is. I have a lot of work on my plate. I'm getting a lot of things that I'm finding it very difficult to keep up with. So perhaps a suggestion would be, maybe he can assist in delegating those tasks, or maybe you can take some of those tasks to him and say, should I be performing this right now, or which one of these tasks is more important? Which one should I prioritize, and which one should I really work on first? Which one should come first? So sort of finding a better solution, or a way to remedy the issue or the complaint is a better way. If you're having an issue with a coworker, this probably won't be such an issue for most of you guys, especially if you're new. People tend to be pretty receptive. They tend to want to welcome the newer guys in on a good note. But of course, that can vary across jobs. So if you're having an issue with coworkers and all that sort of stuff, rather than complain, or rather than try to create conflict, think about what the underlying issue is. Think about why this issue is an issue, and think of a better approach to settling it versus going in and creating more problems by complaining and getting in arguments and that sort of thing. So just really think of it in that way. Avoid complaints. If there's whatever situation is undesirable, just think about what sort of method or way it can be changed, and present that to people that can assist you in changing it. Number 3, this is a big one. Avoid the words "I don't know." Now, this also is one of those ones where the words really make a huge difference. The words really play a huge role in how people take it. So if you are giving some task, or if you ask a question that you have completely no idea about, and trust me, that is going to come. My first job, my first full-time job, actually, not necessarily the first one. There were some situations on the first one also, but my experience, I have a little bit more memory of my second job when I started working at a hospital. And I tell you, when you're that guy that's working there on the weekends and nobody else is around, you have those hours where you're there alone, and you get a call about some issue that you have completely no idea about and you have no knowledge of, it's going to be very daunting. And from that moment, there's going to be either a few things that are going to happen. Either you're going to say, I don't know. Either you're going to freeze up and start wondering, or saying, okay, how am I going to respond to this person? Or you're going to perhaps handle it in that better situation where you may say exactly what the point that I'm getting to, which is I'm not 100% sure of this perhaps, but I can do a little research. I can contact a few people, and I can get back with you very shortly and help resolve the issue. So that's one of the things you kind of have to keep in mind, especially, there's going to be those sorts of situations. Then there's going to be situations where you're going to be confronted by your manager, your boss, and they may ask you something, and you really won't know. And rather than saying, I don't know, and simply leaving it at that, it's better to, as I said before, think about ways in which you can learn how to bridge the gap between what you don't know and what it is that you're trying to do. So, there are a couple options there. You can, like I said before, you can perhaps say, you're not 100% familiar. If you're not, familiar at all, put the emphasis on the fact that you will try to find out. Put the emphasis on the fact that you will do what you can to assist and still be of an asset. Because I don't know, and simply saying I don't know and going about your way, or just I don't know, and then you just walk off or say I simply don't know or whatever. a lot of times they don't necessarily want to hear that, especially those who are above you. A lot of times they don't want to hear that. And your coworkers as well. In a team environment, everyone depends on someone in some sort of way. If you can contribute in some sort of way, that's going to be very beneficial. And if they ask you, then it's likely because they don't know either, or perhaps they think that that's an area that you may know a little bit in. So, if they're asking, that means that they have confidence in you to, help or try to find out. So be of benefit somehow, try to find out. I'll say that this here also, there are going to be some situations where simply saying, I don't know, possibly is the best route. Especially those situations that are a little bit more time critical. There's some sort of system down and you have to get that fixed really quick. It's best sometimes it may be best to say, I don't know. So that way you can figure out who do we need to get in contact with, or your manager can figure out who do they need to get in contact with that may have a little bit more knowledge that will be able to help you get it back up. So, don't, in those time critical situations, I can do a little research. That may not be the case. That may not be what's going to help. So sometimes you actually may have to say, I don't know, but still think of ways in which you can be a benefit, even in that situation. Number 4, and this is a big one, have professionalism. I worked a job back in 2013. It was just a summer job. It was one of those jobs that, like a lot of college students may have. It's just one to help, perhaps pay for school, pay for books, help, contribute and being able to pay our way through college. It was one of those types of jobs. It wasn't something that I necessarily liked doing. I didn't necessarily like doing it, to be honest, but it was a job. It helped, pay for things that I need to pay for. So a lot of times on those jobs, and I say this because, some of you guys may not necessarily go off in the specific job areas that you want right off the bat. And some of you may get in closer to that job area, but it may not be doing specifically what you want to do. But even with those, you have to maintain your professionalism. So back in this year, 2013, for this summer job, I was doing things such as painting the food processing plant. During the weekdays when I first started, I was actually packing corn dogs and lifting batter in the batter machines and things like that. And eventually I got to a point where I started doing other tasks outside of the plant, things that you couldn't do around food and that sort of stuff. So me and this guy we had to paint certain areas outside of the plant. And I'd look at his work and see that stuff was just dripping all over the place. Paint was dripping all over the place, and it was just made the area look bad. And he was completely fine with it. Now, when I started going over his work, just to touch it up a little bit, he asked me, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just, there's a couple of drips here. I want to do this, to fix this up. And he's like, well, we got, this other stuff to do also. So, we should probably kind of speed up. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. But, we can't leave this like this. That's not professionalism. You don't simply do a horrible job and then just move on. That reflects on everything in life. Even with those jobs that you don't necessarily enjoy doing, the way you maintain yourself and the way you handle them is really a reflection of you. And it's good to handle them in a professional way. Whatever type of job it is, it's good to handle them in a professional way, because you'll find out that the more you're like this, it's going to affect you even on those other jobs. People are going to see your professionalism. You're going to see your professionalism, and it's going to reflect on you. You're going to start saying, hey, I did a pretty dang good job on this. On my next task, I'm going to do an even better job. So, get in the habit of being professional as much as you can. Own your work. Do good work. When you can seriously look back on the job that you did on a specific task and say, feel pretty good about it, that you did the best you could, you're going to feel a little bit more sense of accomplishment. And also, it's very important to do on your job. Whatever job it is, just maintain your professionalism. There are going to be times you're going to be doing stuff that you're not going to want to do. There are going to be times where people are going to sort of confront you in negative ways, but it's very important that you maintain your professionalism. It's very important because, as I said, it's going to reflect outwardly and it's going to also reflect internally. So maintain your professionalism. Last but not least, number 5, be willing to learn and grow. No matter what position you're at on your job, you're always going to be learning. Several people may exit college thinking that they have everything together, thinking that they are going to do an awesome job. They're going to nail this and perform well right off the bat. And that's the mentality that you do want to have, don't get me wrong. It's the mentality that I had before I started my first job. But once you start, you realize that there are going to be plenty of things that you don't know. There are going to be plenty of things that you're going to learn on the job that you simply wouldn't have learned in college or anywhere else. There are certain experiences that you just learn on the job. But the main thing is you just always have to be willing to grow. You always have to be willing to expand your knowledge. Don't be afraid to ask your coworkers questions. Avoid asking the same question multiple times. But if you have to keep a running notepad or something, or you can just write stuff down, do that. But always be willing to grow. Always be willing to learn and teach yourself, even outside of your job, even outside of college. Learning does not end in college, and most of the time people find that that's really when it's most important that you engage in the learning process. So you have to constantly be willing to learn. Like I said before, reach out to people that you need to get help with. It's always a learning process. You're gonna reach so many things, new as you go along. So always be willing to learn. Always be a student of the job. Always be a student of life in general. This is going to really help you out, and it's really going to help you perform well. Just don't have that stubborn mindset that you know this or you know exactly everything and that things are going to go this exact way. If someone offers you a suggestion, take it. If someone offers you a suggestion, consider it. Reach out to others for considerations at times. But just remember, you're always a student. You're always going to be learning. Overall, as I said before, some of you guys may have already had job opportunities before. You've already worked during your summer years, or perhaps during your school semesters. Your first job is really going to be, for many, it's really that foot in the door. And don't be so stubborn as to say that I'm not going to work this job because this, is completely unrelated or whatever. No, take that job, and as you're working that job and you spend time, what you do is spend time outside of the job, learning, and you spend time devoting saying that, hey, this is what I'm shooting for next, so I need to continue to learn my skills, because those skills that you learn during college, they're very important, but you have to continue to build on those. So you have to, as I said before, you always have to be a student. You always have to be learning and progressing forward. So whatever job you take, really keep some importance on it, and really, as I said before, keep your professionalism. Avoid those things such as complaining and always finding the negative in situations. Figure out how can you solve situations, and if you do this, you keep these things in mind, you're gonna get your career off to a successful start, and other people are gonna see that amongst you as well. Your bosses, your managers, your coworkers, they're always gonna be pleased with you. When it comes to your jobs, it's always great to leave a good impression. As with like I said, with my previous supervisors, I can go to them and have a casual conversation with them. If I needed them to give me a recommendation for another job, they would do that. I know one of my supervisors for a summer job that I had in 2014, he mentioned that he always knew that I would move somewhere in life, that I was always going to go somewhere, and for me to hear that, it's something for me to live up to. I'm very appreciative of those words, and it's something that I continue to try to live up to, and to try to not fail them on that. So yeah, just keep that in mind with your jobs. There are important things all around your jobs. Just find the importance amongst each part of your job. Find the importance among every task you're doing, and just do your best job. Do the best job you can. So guys, as always, if you're enjoying the content, then stick around for more. There'll be plenty more videos in this sort of area later on. And if you're enjoying the content, stick around for more, and I'll see you next time.